House to Home, brought to you by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody, we are talking real estate and property, and today we are talking about construction. And who better to educate us on this topic than Liz and Gina from RE/MAX Diamond Realty. Ladies, half a day.
Half a day.
Half a day.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having us.
Hope you guys are doing well. Gina, good that you're on the mend now. I heard you were under the weather for a little bit.
Yeah, I was under the real estate weather.
Well, hopefully there are very bright days ahead for both of you,
yeah, absolutely.
because the market is doing pretty well. And I would assume that part of that is people asking if I own land or if I have property or if I've got an existing building, residential, commercial, what have you, and everything, I would like to construct either upon it or extend it and everything like that. So what should those kind of people think about?
Okay, so if they have a piece of land, so there are two things. One, they have a piece of land and they want to build, or you want to buy a piece of land and build. So if you own a piece of land, one of the things you want to do, of course, have your map. You want to consult you want to go to the bank. I think first and foremost, you got to go to the bank. You want to know what can you qualify for in terms of building your home, because you're going to have to get a construction loan. And the value that you get your loan for will dictate how big your house is, how many square feet, and the type of construction. Because if you want all the bells and whistles, like marble, ceramic tile, or granite or marble tile, you want to know, does your budget support that? So first thing first, go to the bank, find out what type of, what budget you have to work with, and then from that you can move forward in terms of finding a contractor, getting a house plan. You know, you have to go through all of that and then developing what that total budget is going to be based on the interior finishing and the size of the home.
And Gina, we have talked before, right, in this very segment, there are differences that you have to account for as opposed to building outward or building up. If you're adding like a second floor to your property, or you know, maybe building an extension or an outside kitchen or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and so if you're going to be building from scratch, you start with what your budget's going to be like, and then from there you start designing the house plan. But I think while you're doing all of that, if you're building from scratch, you should take that map to the utility companies. If you already have your road going in there, you're good to go, okay? You don't have to worry about it. You know it's easy. The road's there, whether it's paved or not, doesn't really matter. But what does matter is water and power there? And if it's not there, what is it going to cost to bring it in there? So you should take the map. The next thing you should do is take that map to the utility companies and find out. GPA is real easy. They basically will come out there and measure it for you and tell you it's going to cost to bring in the power, you know, the power poles and the lines. But with GWA, it's a little bit different. You go to them, they'll tell you, okay, you see where this line is? From here, you have to bring the water all the way to your lot. So depending on what amount of distance that is, then the next thing you need to do is find a contractor who is certified to install water line. And the reason I think that's equally as important as finding out what your budget is from the bank is because bringing in the water, the infrastructure, that I've got a situation where it costs $30,000 just to bring it in, $40,000 to bring in water. So if a customer's got a limited budget, let's say they go to the bank and they've got $150,000 or $100,000, and you find out it's going to cost you $40,000 to bring in water, are you going to build? I don't think so. You know, and if you're extending, then that's easy. You go to the bank, you get your budget, and then you decide based on this budget, how am I extending? Am I going up? Can I legally go up? Can I legally go sideways? And you and your contractor can make that assessment.
And to this point, the both of you have been talking about like if most residents would go with a contractor, which I assume most people would, but how often do you see people say, oh, me and, you know, my two cousins were, you know, or, you know, I feel as if I can do it myself, or I'm not trying to build a palatial mansion, or I'm not trying to build, you know, Hugh Hefner's Playboy mansion, everything like that. I just want to build like maybe like
self-construction.
Yeah, or like a beach house, or, you know, maybe like a stable if I have horses and everything. It's not going to be like a very complicated project.
There's some that do that, and the only problem is they have to have the wherewithal. They have to know construction, because remember, whenever you get your permits, Public Works will come and do an inspection. So there's a number of things. It's not one of those that you want to step into unless you have the lines of expertise to make that happen. And as Gina was talking about power and water, for example, you might have a piece of land and you've got the contractor, you've got everything in place, but the problem is Guam Waterworks is telling you you have to go hook up a mile away. even though the water lines are right there and you have neighbors that have it, we've had situations where the government will say, yes, the water line is there. However, the water pressure is rather weak, or for whatever reason, you have to go 1 mile down to hook up. So or you'll need a water pump. So there are a lot of factors that affect your budget. So you really have to double check with the government as to what's needed. Sometimes the individual will do that. Sometimes a contractor could do all that research for you. But again, the key element is how does that factor into your total budget?
Well,
it does affect it.
Well, Gina, real quick, before we go, why don't we end with this? If people come to you, is one of the services that your company provides, can you actually point them to a contractor or a variety of contractors if they say, this is my project, this is what I'm looking to spend and everything like that? Is that part of the
You know,
service that you
we
provide?
can give them a list of names for them to contact, so they will contact the contractor. They can call Contractors License Board to see how these people are doing. We're going to give you a list of names, but it's up to the individual to go check out their reputation, the type of work they do. But this issue about utilities is really, I'm in the business, and when I built my home and I got my building permit, I did exactly what Liz just mentioned. My house is literally in front of the street. So when we built, and you run your building, permit, GWA made notes in there. Well, they just said you have to connect here. Well, that looks easy. And when I got my quote, it was $40,000 to connect here.
Eesh.
And I didn't find this out until after the house was built. So these, doing your homework in the beginning is really critical.
Critical.
All right. Okay. Well, obviously, we are just scratching the surface of this topic. So, folks, you can contact RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam. They will answer all your questions.